be our turn soon. Oh, it's cold. Oh, cuss. You cold, mate? It's cold over. Right, we'll do a competition today. We're going to do the oldest coin, best coin, most amount of coins, and best relic. Stay tuned, see what we find. Get some luck in the muck. Stu.
I've lost it.
Don't think like that, Stu. Think positive. I know you missed that padlock the other day, mate, but you know.
Don't think positive. I know I'm going to lose.
That's unlikely.
So here we are, walking towards one of the fields, and we're doing a competition today, just for a bit of fun. Anyway, let the games commence and let's get some luck in the muck. Just follow those guys to the treasure. But in the past, I've had some quite good finds on these rallies. Hammered coins and medieval seal matrices. But I've never filmed. And you know that when I get the camera out today, a lot of fun. So,
Sod's law,
it is Sod's law, yeah. So, I've jinxed it. So, this video may never see the light of day. If you're watching it now, it means I found something. So, get in. Weird, I'm talking to myself in the future. I can't get my head round.
Good evening, everybody. It's Thursday, it's 8 o'clock, and it's the Big Detecting Show with my good friend here, Mr. Adrian Gaylor, myself, and Luke up in the clouds. Hope you are all fine and dancy. How are you, Adrian?
I'm dandy, thanks, Dave. Yeah,
Good.
going back to work like you in a couple of weeks. Hey.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, good, all good, thanks.
8 weeks work in a year I've done. I don't know if I can remember the way. I'm going to have to get somebody to escort me there.
Yeah, well, it's fingers crossed, getting back to normal.
Absolutely. Before we come, we've changed the way the format of the show, and we're going to do things a little bit differently again tonight. And that's introduce tonight's guest by way of a video that Adrian has created, which also gives a bit of insight into some of the other things we're going to be talking about tonight. So without further ado, I think I've pulled it up right. And if I have, Luke, can you play the video?
Alright mud lovers, I hope you're keeping safe. This video is dedicated to my good friend and mentor John Webb, who sadly passed away at the end of 2020. He was 82 years old and he packed his life full of treasure hunting and awesome adventures. In a minute I'm going to show you a documentary that was filmed in the 1970s featuring John Webb. It's a snapshot in his life showing his adventures and his treasure hunting and his research and his tenacious way that he went about finding lost history. If at the end of the video you want to hear more from John, I took the opportunity to interview him about a year ago and he went through lots of finds and told me amazing stories, so make sure you check that out.
Fantastic little video there, very poignant.
It's one of the series that Si's done, which he's going to talk about tonight. For me, is one of the best watches on YouTube. It really does wake you up, ignoring Facebook, Instagram, social media. Back in the old days when detecting was like John there, just went out the house like we all do on a Saturday, early Sunday morning, hoping to find treasure, but at the same time enjoying ourselves. And also, it just sums it up.
Very smart.
Yes,
no camo in sight. With your old football bag, with your detector in a plastic bag, and you're absolutely brilliant. Brings it right back.
I can't wait to talk to Si about it tonight.
And without further ado, we'll bring Si on, the man in the world's best armchair, without a doubt. Good evening, Si.
How are we doing this evening, all right?
Marvellous. How are yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. Pretty good.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Si. I've had a lot of people obviously wanted to hear from you in this setting. They know all about it from YouTube and what have you. And Adrian obviously knowed you a little bit better than myself, so he contacted you and you agreed to come on. So great to have you here.
Oh, my pleasure, boys. My pleasure. Let's chat. Everything detecting and mudlarking. That's my main passion in life. So hit me with it.
Fantastic. Well, we've got another little surprise for you coming up in about 20 minutes, but you'll have to wait for that one.
Okay.
So there's only a few of us know about that one, you see.
Nice surprise.
Nice surprise. Si, for those of you like myself who don't know you personally, don't know you very well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into the hobbies?
Yeah, I mean, it's bizarre. It's a bizarre one. I mean, I'm nearly 40 now, man. I'm nearly 40. But when I was about 30, end of my 20s, I was getting into metal detecting because I just had a craving to go out and try it. It's always something I wanted to have a go at. And I went on a bike ride down to the Thames. There's like, Adrian might know a place called Rainham Marshes, and that's where all the boats and stuff are, concrete barges. I went down there and I saw them, and I went down there and found bits of pottery and all sorts of metal work and stuff, and I just got hooked on looking for historical artifacts from that point. And then I found other people, other mudlarkers, and it was mudlarking that kind of got me into it at the beginning. And at the same time, I bought a very basic crap detector just to see if I liked it, because at the time, well, it still is, metal detectors are quite expensive. So I remember having an NAF detector, but then as soon as I started finding bits of old junk, a few half pennies and stuff, I was thinking, yeah, this is definitely for me. I just love finding the unknown, really, and the little stories that are attached with it. And because I'm close to London, it meant that I could meet other like-minded mudlarkers and learn from them. And I just found the whole thing absolutely fascinating. The fact that you can, with a bit of tenacious, with the right attitude, should I say, tenacious searching, you can find anything from the last 2,000 years. And it's just a constant learning curve. And it's great to share your finds as well with everyone. You learn stuff every day, you go down various rabbit holes, and you get out in the outdoors, and you can take it as far as you want. You can just detect around the back garden, or you can travel up to Scotland like Webber used to do, looking for Bonnie Charlie's gold. So it's just so much possibilities out there for what you can find, people you can meet, and the adventures you can go on.
And I bet you've got a collection that's rammed full in the house as well of things that you found.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've just built a new man cave to start housing it all in, because I've got anchors and no cannons yet, but I've got cannonballs, loads of bottles that we find bottle digging, and out on the Hovercraft we pick up quite a few, and collecting them. So I've had to make a new room for myself now, just to get it out of the house and have somewhere to clean it up as well, because as you know, when we clean the finds, it just makes such a mess, because a lot of my stuff is totally covered in mud. So there's a lot of cleaning involved as well. So I've got my own space all set up now, so maybe that'll feature in the YouTube channel as well. Sometimes might do some chats down there as well. So yeah.
Look forward to it.
How often do you get to go outside? Because obviously you've got a job. I've
got a 9 to 5 graphic designer. I'll go out I'll try and go out at least once a week on the weekend. The tides depending, obviously, but if there's no tides, then I'll either try and go metal detecting if it's the right season, or just try something different. Go to places where the coast is full of various places you can try and go, mudlarking, also the rivers and stuff like that, and just try and do different things. This week, I've just been on Wednesday, and the last week, Monday and Tuesday of last week, we'd actually been searching the Regent's Canal in London, because it's all been drained. We were there picking out the stuff from Regent's Canal. It's fantastic, and it was a strange little turn of events, and you kind of do make your own destiny in a way. I mean, we didn't find any gold or anything that was amazing, but it's a sort of a case in point. We're going to talk about John later, I know, but it's the sort of thing he would have done. There was an opportunity where friends passed me a picture of Regent's Canal, and it was drained. So I managed to work out who the owners were, or who looked after it, the Canal and River Trust, and got in touch with them and said to them, is there any chance that me and a few mudlarkers could go down there, help clean up the canal, and if there's anything good to find, we'll let you know, and do a bit of mudlarking as well. So they were well up for it, and they organised this event where they had 2 weeks worth of volunteers, 15 volunteers a day, and it was made into this great little clean-up event where we had people pulling out motorbikes and tyres and finding all sorts of cool stuff as well, which has all been filmed, and it'll be out on Sunday. So it's got his cool little video. It's 40 minutes long. It's one of my longest videos. It's just so much stuff to show, you know.
Yeah. So with regard, obviously, we know on the Thames foreshore you've got to get a license, and you've got a non-standard one. I understand. You've got a green one, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a member of Society of Mudlarks. So once you have been recording with the museum for 3 years, you can apply to be sort of upgraded, if you will, or join the society, whereby that's been going for a long time, and there's you get different privileges. You can go on certain different areas of the foreshore because you've been proven to be a responsible mudlarker, recording your finds, not doing anything stupid, staying where you're supposed to stay, and just being known to be, you know, passionate about what you've done by other people. You get to join up with those guys and sort of get a bit more responsibility, I suppose it is. And that's it. It's not much different really to a standard permit, apart from you can dig down deeper, which obviously is a benefit to some people, and search on certain areas on the north side, which usually you can go eyes only, but you're not allowed to scrape or detect. So it's like a boosted membership, really.
I take it that's opened up a whole new world for you in relation to, you know, things that you've been able to find and the archaeological structure of everything in that area.
Well, becoming a member of the society, you mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said there's much difference, if I'm honest. You get to detect the north side, but it's between kind of where is it? It's like Westminster-ish down to sort of like Wapping. But the thing is, you can go eyes only there. Anyway, it's not a massive stretch. There are other areas, but I don't really think. I mean, I've got lots of friends with standard permit holders, and they're finding just as much good stuff. And you know, they can still go eyes only in these zones, but I don't really think there's a great benefit. I haven't really dug much either. We're allowed to dig down to 1.3 meters. It is. I think I've been part of one dig or maybe 2 digs. It didn't really throw up very much and sort of put me off. I'd rather cover more surface area by walking up and down and detecting and knowing the hot spots, you know, that we're used to because we've been doing it every weekend. So I find that for me is a more productive way. You know, I remember the last time I went on the north side, but there wasn't a great deal to find really. And I was with my friend Cuffs, and he bent down and picked up a nice trader's token within like the first 10 minutes of being there. So you don't have to be part of the society to get good finds. Anyone with a standard permit has just as much chance, I feel, as anybody else. The only benefit of being the member is you get to detect, Cannon Street, Queen Hive, and all along there. But it's not much of a bonus, to be honest. I don't think.
No. So it's obviously you metal detect as well.
Yeah.
And you started off metal detecting. Would you say it's easier to mudlark than metal detect? Because obviously the permissions mudlarking, once you got your permit, you just turn up. Do you have to tell them when you go, or do you just turn up when you want?
No, you just turn up. Once you've got your permit, it lasts for 3 years, and you can go every day of the week if you want, as long as the tide's out, you know. But there is a trick to it, and there is like a saying that we say to get your eye in, you know, because you're looking for these unnatural shaped objects amongst all the stones and the gravel and everything else. So you need to kind of train your eyes, to find those man-made objects, and it does take a little while. So, but yeah, it's easier in respect that you can go down and definitely find pottery and pipe stems, you know, and you might find some interesting nails and, you know, bits of timber that you can see physically, so you can get a lot more from it if you're brand new going down there. But then again, if you had a basic detector and you walked around a field, you would get signals, and you dig the signals up and you'd get finds. You don't, you know, after a few years of doing it, you'd work out the best places to go, what to look out for, what permissions to get. So I think it's all a big learning curve, detecting and mudlarking. But I think off the bat, I think if you went mudlarking down, I think you'd initially get more out of it because you're just essentially using your eyes. So your senses you're used to those senses, I think. So
it's interesting because you said about bits of pottery and stuff. I know on your YouTube video, one thing I think is quite unique. we find old bottles occasionally, dig them up when you're detecting, and ring balls and stuff like that. But you said you do graphic design. You convert your finds into what I'd call art. So you found I think it was the other week, you found was it 1976 Royal Mail sack, which most of us would look at and think, oh, it's a load of old soot, chuck it. But you took it home, painted it, put it on a board, didn't you? Put the stencil of Queen's head on it, and it looks like something Banksy's done. And you even make glasses out of fragments of broken glass out of resin, which I thought was so cool. So you're reinventing the finds, whereas we've all got buckets of lead and stuff sitting at home, and some people do create art out of it, but you've got an Etsy channel. Etsy, is it Etsy?
Etsy store, I sell bits and bobs on there sometimes, and mainly the cut down bottles as well, which I do, because when I go bottle digging or mudlarking, often there's these broken bottles that no one really wants, so they get left behind. Even people give them, my friends give them to me sometimes, because they know that even they don't want them, and they're supposed to be into this sort of thing, and they're like, no, it's broken, cut it down. I do cut them down and give them back to them sometimes, but I think repurposing stuff and turning anything into something more attractive. I mean, sea glass is quite a good medium for creating artwork, and you can do it in stained glass or set it in resin, or do whatever you want. So that's like another side to it, really, because I do like to, as a graphic designer, I'm doing quite corporate stuff anyway. So I've got a degree in art, and I loved art at school, and I like to think myself as pretty okay at it. So if I'm stuck behind a computer doing digital stuff, and it might be like annual reports and infographics and stuff like that, which is quite interesting anyway. But there's nothing better than getting your hands physical and kind of making a sculpture, or thinking up new ideas about what to do with some of the stuff, because we do collect masses of stuff, don't we? Especially, like, I bet you guys have got buttons and buckles of broken bits and bobs that you don't know what to do with. And most of it probably goes to the scrap dealer. But there is upcycling is quite a quite a trendy thing to do anyway, isn't it? I think at the moment everyone's jumping on that bandwagon, but I think it's great. Don't throw anything away if it can be reused or repurposed, or you can see a little bit of a design in there to sort of emphasise and bring to light.
We've actually got a first question tonight, and I think you've covered most of the bases, and it's from Nicola Roberts, who asks, where do you get your ideas for upcycling? I
don't know, they just pop into my head. Sometimes I might see something, I don't really know if there's anything, there's a couple, I watched one resin guy on YouTube, but there's nothing that he hasn't done anything that I've done. I don't really know, it just all comes to my head. I just think, how can I I'll probably find something and work out, what can I do with that, as opposed to I need to find that to make that. So but I like restoring stuff. I've got old pub tables that I've restored, and I've forgotten the amount of stuff. I've got some enamel signs and cut them up and made them into boxes that they're just too far gone to make into any decent signs. So they've got some nice nice letters still left on it, so cut that up and make it into a metal box. So sort of, if I get something, I'll then see the potential in what it can be. So I kind of go with the object first, and then think, what can that be made into? And the resin is quite cool, because you can actually create things inside it, and it's because metal's quite hard to weld together, especially small pieces of wet metal. It's like you're gonna have solder all over the place, or you've got to try and stick it onto a board or something like that. But resin's quite neat, because it looks like it's sort of in suspended animation. So whatever you can create from these pieces, you can sort of create a piece of artwork, and it's fun.
I watch Find It, Fix It, Flog It, and I can't upcycle. I've tried, and I'm no good at that claptrappery. But kudos to what you're achieving with the ideas and what have you. Other people as well with a similar mindset it's great. Personally, these big fat fingers don't do things like that.
Reminds me of Tony Hart in a weird sort of way. We're having the gallery.
I'm more morph.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. But you made, I think, Dave, you might want to follow on from this. You made some nice bird boxes as well out of stuff. It's just completely loads of different things you do.
Yeah, Tudor, made a Tudor bird box. That wasn't on YouTube, I don't think.
Well, just before we go any further with that, I'm going to come to the video that I mentioned earlier. It's all loaded up and ready to go, and This is for you, Si.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you very much to Sam for inviting us up to do some detecting on one of her permissions. If you've got anywhere you want us to explore, or you've got a field you want us to detect, let me know and maybe we'll come up and join the hunt with you. Oh, and this is a bird box. Now you guys know that I like to make things, and a few years ago I made this bird box in the style of a Tudor house. I just thought it'd be interesting to show you. Here it is. How'd you open it? Like that. And I've even put a camera in there and filmed the birds at some point as well. Needs a lick of paint.
Oh, that's
So there you go.
Excellent.
In short, from watching Si's video, a good friend of mine, Andrew Jones, he has been struggling with some mental health, some depression and anxiety and such like during lockdown, as I'm sure a lot of people have, myself included. And having seen that video, Andy thought, I'll give it a go. I'll have a go. And he said to me, it's helped him no end. He's been able to concentrate. He's no way, shape or form got any carpentry or joinery skills. And he's gone ahead and created them. And it's absolutely fantastic. And Andy wanted me to thank you publicly for helping him. Not realising it, but you helped him a lot.
Oh, that's so lovely. So lovely.
I'm an admin for Andy. His Facebook group's Metal Detecting Britain and Beyond. So I'm an admin on there. I have been since it was formed about 5 years ago. And he also wanted me to say hello to you from JC Sue and Tom Main from the River Thames Mudlarking Finds Facebook group.
Hello guys.
But anyway, Andy wants to thank you publicly. And if you can make one person something good come of it, it's all worth it, innit? It
is, yeah. And thanks, Andrew, for showing you the finds. I think that's great. I love the Anderson shelter one. That's really cool. But yeah, it's great that you're finding an outlet for your sort of well-being and stuff. And yeah, it's great to see and fantastic. And keep going. And just the inspiration can come from anywhere. It really can. So talking of bird boxes, I've actually got the next project, which I haven't done yet. It's not going to take very long. I've just got, while I go bottle digging, we find teapots and also got teacups. So, and I got to admit, this wasn't my idea. I think I must have thought of it and then looked on Pinterest and gone, oh, it can be done. all you need to do is screw a hole through the middle of the the base of the teapot onto a tree. Obviously, fill up the spout so the bird doesn't fall through, and then make the cup suspended underneath there, and then look like a teapot suspended from the tree with a cup underneath, and then obviously a bird box as well, so they can go in. So you just reminded me, Andrew, that I need to crack on with that idea. So thanks, mate. It's given me you've inspired me to carry on with that idea that I had a little while ago. So yeah, nice one.
I've actually put together an article which is going out in the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine tomorrow night, which includes that video and the reason why the video was made. But it also thanks one or two other YouTubers from what I've seen from other people. Things on my behalf, people who've helped me in peculiar ways, but also the likes of Tony Kaywood. I've written about Tony Kaywood, and for me, Tony's helped. He's wrote articles for the website, and some of his videos explain how to use tide maps, old maps, different apps and such like, which other YouTubers don't or normally concentrate on. And the likes of that's been a great help to me and a lot of people, especially studying and researching during the lockdown as well. So that'll be going out tonight. Scotty B, my hair doesn't suit me. It looks stupid. I look stupid. I forgot to put a hat on. First time in 15 years I've had hair, Si.
Oh, really?
Well, I wish I did. Si, how do you find... I think I mentioned earlier I was talking to Christopher Rogers from Addicted to Bleeps today, and we were discussing, obviously, managing a YouTube channel and Instagram and everything else is pretty hard work. You get, like we've just heard, lovely stories there, but you also get your trolls and everything else that comes with it. But your channel's grown quite big. I mean, you've got how many followers on YouTube now?
58,000-ish, something like that.
Yeah. Were you expecting it to get that big, or?
Yeah, I was hoping it would. I mean, there's no guarantees in it, but I've kind of I like to think, because I think I've got a creative eye. I was hoping that, and I know that how popular mudlarking is as well. So I was just hoping that if I could hit resonate the right sort of chord with people, that they can follow me in these adventures. And I've got lots of things at my disposal, and I've been doing it a little while before I started YouTube. So it wasn't like I was brand new to mudlarking and metal detecting, because I think people like to think that a little bit about what you're doing as opposed to just going out there and just winging it. So I've spent the last 7 or 8 years learning stuff so that I can actually create this channel whereby I've got a sense that I know what I'm talking about to a certain degree. I don't know everything. That's the true. None of us do. But if I've got if I know what I'm picking up is what it is, then at least I can come across with some confidence as what I'm doing. Also, I'm very passionate about what I do, the hobby of mudlarking. And I do love editing film and being creative in that way. So it's a lot of hours per week to put it in. I think I can't even add it up. It must be something like between like 15 and 20 hours a week editing. Wow. So, and I'm up till 10 o'clock at night sometimes, or most nights, doing it and stuff like that. So, and you've got to go out there and film it and find some good stuff as well. And then you've got to be in it and then edit it and then look after all the comments and the trolls, like you said. I mean, to be fair, 99.9% of the comments are lovely. But you get a few jealous people, as you do in this hobby, unfortunately, that probably just are out just to have a moan or criticise you for something that you said or done that you didn't really mean to do. But it is thoroughly worthwhile when you get people like Andrew saying the effect that it's had on him. And I do get a lot of comments as well, especially during lockdown. People are saying that they look forward to the videos because it gives them a nice break, from they look forward to it. And when you get good feedback like that, it does spur you on to keep on going. But it's a lot of work, and it's taken I think it must have taken about 2 years now and about 100 something videos to get to this point. So it's not in any way an overnight sort of thing to do a YouTube channel like this. As you guys know, there's a lot of work involved, but it can be very rewarding. So, and long may it continue until I've got the stamina to keep going, because like I say, it's a lot of work on top of a full-time job and keeping other people happy as well in their life, and you've got to go out and you've got to go out and enjoy yourself as well. Otherwise it's just work, from dusk till dawn, isn't it? But
Yeah.
We'll crack on. Well, I've got the energy while I'm reasonably young, so.
Yeah. You
So,
said you.
you first, sir.
No, you go, Dave. Sorry.
No, I insist.
No, you. Please, sir. Please, you.
Okay. Age before beauty.
Sorry.
No, it's wrong. We obviously mudlarking and metal detecting. They go hand in hand when it comes to rediscovering history. But what do you feel is the main difference? And I don't mean walking around in mud and water and being in the countryside, but what for you would be the main difference psychologically when you're actually taking part in each?
Psychologically, I think probably if you're on your own detecting as opposed to being with a large group in a rally or anything like that, because that can bring anxiety on its own being in a rally. But I think if you're out there on your own or with one of your best mates or your dad or brother, sister, whoever, it can be really tranquil and a great way to sort of release your mind and not think about all the daily, dramas and stuff. Mudlarking is very similar, but you've got a river in front of you pretty much, the finds change as well slightly. So instead of looking or detecting purely metal, you've got obviously things like clay pipes and bottles and marbles and anything that can't be detected you can find, obviously non-metal items. So there's a larger variety of things you can find on the Thames potentially. But yeah, when you get down on the Thames on a when the light first breaks and you're there at 7 in, it's a beautiful place to be. And despite the fact you're in the middle of London, but you can do mudlarking in any river. But yeah, it's still like I think both have got that natural feel to it. The River Thames is a very ferocious river. It's very fast flowing. If you've ever tried to get in it, it's very, very dangerous. But it's also one of nature's beauties.
I know there's lots of members of the Mudlarking Society, but on an average, let's say a weekend day when you go down to the River Thames, do you see many other mudlarkers, or is it more of a solo thing again?
Yeah, you see quite a few down there now. It's getting very popular. Lots of people are doing it. There's certain areas which they do tend to go to more than others. But yeah, there'll be occasions where you don't see anyone for a little while, and it can be quite a nice. But it's not just mudlarkers. You get people there walking dogs and families going for walks, and it's not just reserved to mudlarkers. It's a public area, so you do get the odd person trying to fish off piers and stuff when the tide's in, or boats going up and down with people screaming on them. They're going on these rocket rides or whatever they're called, and they bomb up and down. Or you've got the Thames Clippers full of commuters, so it's still quite a busy area, and people on the path as well that go up past you, and you can hear them talking and whistling or jogging around or running. So there's still quite a lot of activity there, but in terms of mudlarkers, yeah, it can vary. 1 minute you can just be on your own, and then 10 minutes later it becomes a more sociable hour, because that'll be it. Because if the low tide happens to be in the middle of a Saturday and it's a good low, there's obviously going to be a lot more people there than if it was a nighttime low and it's 11 o'clock is the low tide time, and you're there with your head torch, and that's it, just you.
And then the nighttime is a different beat. The nighttime's a different environment altogether again.
Yeah, it's a lot. You've got to be a lot more careful, obviously, because for a few reasons. Not only because the tide is invisible pretty much to see if it comes in on you sometimes, because obviously everything's black. There's no lights down there apart from the odd bit of street light. And you've got to be careful about other people as well that aren't, the most unscrupulous, shall we say, people that might find their way down there and give you a hard time. There's various pubs along the Thames as well, so you get a few pissheads that decide that you're going to be their next target. And I haven't actually had much abuse. I've had a few verbal words, but nothing. People I know have had glass bottles and glass, like beer, pint glasses thrown at them as well from, drunk people. But yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. Blimey, watch out. But mainly, yeah, it's pretty cool. I never go on a night time on my own anyway. I always take one other person, or because you never can be too careful. There's lots of dodgy people out at night in London, especially down the quiet alleyways and things like that. So you just we go in pairs just so we got back each other up.
Do you detect much at the times you mudlark? How often do you take your metal detector?
Probably 50% of the time, I would say.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
I may not use it, but I'll definitely take it, and then there'll be a patch, because sometimes certain parts of the foreshore, they won't all be like sandy beaches. There'll be or even mud, like compact mud. It will be this horrible layer of gloop over the top, so you can't do eyes only in that situation. So their detector is brilliant. And I'd really recommend. But I say that, but then again, other people do just as well with eyes only. It's just, you just got to be down there as much as you can, really, to get the most from it, and learn the different the way that the tide pushes the some of the like foreshore around a bit, and certain areas get wiped clean after certain tides and certain winds and stuff like that. I mean, it's never really a true science, but I do enjoy detecting, and various machines that we use, and I would say about 50% of the time use a detector, but other times you might just put it down and just decide to scrape around, or sometimes there'll be so much iron in one place that a detector is useless anyway, because it just goes off. It's just, imagine just having a bed of bolts and one in the middle. You'd never be able to discriminate out that chunky iron. So you just have to put the detector down and just get on your hands and knees, or move somewhere else. I've actually developed a new technique whereby, I can tell you, I'm going to put it on the video anyway, like it's my secret. But I've got these 880-pound magnets. I don't know if you boys have ever tried magnet fishing, but they're those ones. And my theory was, well, where there's a very dense area of nails that are iron, obviously, use the magnet to pick up all the iron and leave behind all the non-ferrous stuff. And hopefully there'll be coins and pins and buttons. And it works. So worth trying. But the thing is, you have to know where the spots are worth looking for, But it's good. It's quite hard on your wrist though, because you've got to wrench off all the iron work constantly.
Yeah,
good stuff. But it's another technique to worth trying.
What machine and setup? Do you have like small coil?
Coil? At the moment, I've got the Nox with the 6-inch coil, so that seems to be working quite well. But I've also got a Fisher Gold Bug as well. I'm not sure if you've ever used one of those before. DP Pro. That's got a slightly smaller 5-inch coil, I think, and I don't have it anymore. But I borrowed my mate's one. He's got a Thames. We call it a Thames Scout. It's a Tesoro laser scout that they've adapted for the Thames, which are very popular as well. But that's a really basic machine. So it's I don't know what they've done. They've tweaked it so that it doesn't get so confused with all the iron. But I've got one mate who swears by the Thames Scout, and I would always use the Gold Bug, and now sort of recently changed to the Nox, which I think is amazing as well. Really great machine, really versatile.
Right, interesting. How getting on? You all right if I start talking about John Webb, Dave?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. How did you come about meeting? Well, I don't know if you want to. People who don't know, they saw the video at the beginning of the show, but just a brief overview of John Webb.
It was a chance meeting, really. I didn't see him on the foreshore. I saw him in the market, and he was selling a few of his bits and bobs, because that's what he does. He was a treasure hunter by nature, and he accumulated so much stuff over the years, and he did it as a part, as a subsidy for his living. So I was in the marketplace and I saw these objects on the table, so a boat hook and a padlock and a couple of clay pipes, and I thought, hey, that looks like mudlarking stuff. The sort of stuff I find. So John was standing behind it, and I said, "Hello, mate." I said, "What's all this stuff then? Have you been mudlarking or something? Because this is all looks like stuff from the river." He's like, "Yeah, you could say that." And so we got talking about what he got up to and stuff. And John's quite a private man anyway, and he wasn't going to reveal all the ins and outs of his life over a desktop. So I was working locally anyway, so I went back every week on the same day and had a chat with him because I've just found what he was telling me was fascinating. And slowly but surely we got this friendship together, and I would, you know, go to the market and I'd get in bits and bobs and, you know, give each other books and stuff like that. And at the time there was a meeting. We used to have a club called Thames Field, and that's Steve Brooker runs that. And he used to know Steve a long while ago, but he said he was a bit hard. It was hard for him to get into London these days because he was, it was in the late 70s and he never drove. He went everywhere by public transport or got a lift from someone, which I find amazing when you consider the amount of places he's been to. And I said, well, do you want to come to the club and meet your old mates again? Because there's some old boys there still. And obviously Steve and Nick, he knew all them. And he took me up on the offer, so I picked him up and took him over to the Thames Field Club, and yeah, he had a great old time. And every month we'd go there, and then obviously because he would live local to me as well, and he was becoming a good friend, we decided to start going detecting and going searching for permissions together. And it was a great friendship we formed.
Yeah, and I mean, the video you did on YouTube was a really nice obituary. I think, is there 5 episodes?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I came across them just after you'd done them, and I don't know, it just reminded me of my granddad, who was who got me into the hobby in the 70s, and like Dave said, he's just got a coat, shirt, smart trousers, and smart shoes, and he's in the middle of Epping Forest when you were allowed to detect them, which isn't far from where we live. And I just love the way he sort of said to his wife, right dear, off I go. And he would go to Scotland, wouldn't he, on his own, panning for gold. He'd go all over the country, and it really is a nice video, like homely video to watch. And also he was one of the founders of Treasure Hunting magazine, because he wrote for Coin Monthly back in the 70s, which my dad always used to buy, and then he contributed to the magazine in the early years, and his knowledge and his published books as well. But I think because he was the god of metal detecting in my eyes, the British god, but because he wasn't like we all are, all over Facebook and YouTube, no one, unless you bumped into him like you or read his books, would know about him. And I think having that YouTube video on your videos on his channel really good, especially when you sit there and I cannot believe the amount of finds he had, because he published them in the magazine. He's got photos, obviously, in the old day, but the stuff. I mean, you must have been fortunate to actually see a lot of his finds in the flesh, but the stuff he found was, well, I can't believe it. Gold scabbards, everything, guns, cannonballs, and am I right? He jumped off the Thames in a wetsuit. He jumped off the bridge, didn't he?
Yeah, Hammersmith Bridge. Yeah, that's one of his great stories, which I still can't believe. He was one of his mates. I'm not sure if it was. I can't remember the name of his mate. I'm not sure if it's Ted Fletcher or somebody else, but I think it's in the video. But either way, he was into his diving anyway, and he's even him and his son, like Steve. So they both go diving as well. So I don't think it was as strict as it is now to get your whatever it is certificate and whatnot. But yeah, you stick on a diving suit and you're a diver. You know, that's all it needed. But he was on Hammersmith Bridge and he was talked into doing it, and he was like, he got pushed off, and his actual face mask came off. So he had to try and scramble to get that back onto his face as well. And then when he hit the bottom, he also got tangled up in all the crap that was down there, because he said he got caught up on an old bus line, like a temporary bus stop was down there, which I've actually found some nearby, so it might even be the same one, you never know. But he got caught up in that, and he said you can't see anything. It's absolutely zero visibility. I just don't know how he did it, but yeah, he jumped off the middle of Hammersmith Bridge and survived. It was like unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, did you go detecting a lot with John, or did you do more mudlarking with him, or a bit of both?
More detecting, to be honest. Yeah, because he was having trouble in his because he was a passive. That was passive smoker, not passive smoker. Chain smoker, pretty much. He would just smoke all the time. His lungs were failing him, so he couldn't get up to London as much because he would complain that the air quality in London made it hard for him to breathe. So he couldn't. We only went mudlarking together about a half dozen times or so, maybe not even that. Yeah, I remember we went to a few places. Definitely, yeah, maybe say 6 times. But we did a lot of detecting together, more so because he had various permissions, and actually we went out together and got about 3 or 4 permissions in and around where we lived, and it was great. Yeah, just spend all day, detecting. And I would say to him like, "Oh, what time do you want me to pick you up?" And this is another mad thing, which I don't think I mentioned in the video. He said, "Oh, come whenever you want." I said, "What, 8 o'clock? That's not too early, is it?" He goes, "No, mate. I'll go at 5 if you want. Anytime you want." The mad thing isn't that. The mad thing is that he actually suffered with insomnia as well. Poor guy.
Oh.
So he could only get like maybe 2 hours sleep at night, which I don't know how anybody could even function on less than like 4 or 5 hours, constantly, But he said at a certain age, it wasn't when he was younger, but after a certain, in his sort of 50s or 60s, he just all of a sudden couldn't sleep. I don't know what it was. And he said he tried everything, but it didn't stop him going out and doing what he wanted to do. So he was like, well, "Come pick me up whenever you feel like. I'll be awake. I'll just grab my bag and we'll go." But I was a lazy git. I still said, "No, 9 o'clock's fine."
Yeah, I struggle going too early. So he's sadly passed away, but you've kindly done this video for him. Is he got any family or children who've taken his footsteps?
Yeah, he's got a son, Steve. He loves bottles, really, so he's into his bottle digging, and he's found his fair share of decent stuff as well. Yeah, and he goes regularly digging still. I'm due to go out with him at some point as well, so it'd be nice to catch up with him and talk about his dad and everything else. So but
sorry, I was just about to say, a lot of people also don't realise that he was one of the few in the 70s when we were all being told that detecting was going to be banned and stuff, and there were certain changes coming in. He was up in London protesting to keep the hobby going.
Exactly, yeah.
And people, obviously, not a lot of people realise, if it wasn't for the likes of him and a few others, we wouldn't be out detecting today or mudlarking.
Exactly,
So
him and his fellow detectorists of the time, like you say, because I think because he was involved in Treasure Hunter at the time, he had that avenue to promote what was going on behind the scenes, because a lot of people wouldn't necessarily find out. I mean, it's different in this day and age because everyone's got the internet, and as soon as anything changes, we know about it within a few seconds. So, but with back then, everyone needed to be told and G'd up and go in there and protest, and that's what they did and kept the hobby alive for us today. So we've got a lot to be grateful for, not just to him, but for every one of his contemporaries at the time that got stuck in and stood up for it. I'm sure it would be the same today if we heard that they were going to try and ban it. There would be people out there marching and sticking up for our hobby, which we all love, and it's doing the nation a service, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah. Did John have much? What did he think of the Treasure Act potential reform of that, and also all the other things that are going on in the world of metal detecting at the moment? Was he angry about how things were changing, or?
Yeah, he wasn't too happy with. There was talk at one point of there being like a permit introduced, which he didn't like the sound of that, and also other laws they were going to change, or they were thinking about changing it. Thankfully, nothing has happened yet, but he was, I think, one of his, because he got my mate Mike to help him broadcast his opinion on what was going to happen. He tried to he did a little audio piece, which I think might be on that website, one of your guys' websites about it. But yeah, he made his feelings quite clear that we shouldn't, if there's any murmurs of any changes, tell him that it can't happen, because he was more concerned that laws will get passed without us realising, and they'll take more control over Detectorists because they don't know what's happening. Yeah, so it's that. And in terms of the new Treasure Act law changes, I don't think he was really aware of that, because it may have come in when he started feeling poorly, because he hasn't been well for since sort of early mid 2020. I think he was feeling a bit rough, so I don't think he would have been aware of these potential changes. But yeah, I'm not sure if he would have approved them. He wasn't a big fan of I mean, the museums, he tried his best to help them out as much as he could, but he's been let down a lot of the time by various authorities. So we won't go into the negatives too much, because it's but I think he was quite strong in we need to stick up for ourselves as detectorists, because there's no one else is going to fight our corner. We can't trust, this is his words, we can't trust archaeologists, and the museums aren't much better. So we need to stick up for ourselves, because there's not going to be anyone else is going to want to help us. It's our hobby. They may not really care if we come or go. So we need to make sure that it doesn't disappear without us realising. So that's pretty much what he was about.
Yeah, no, it's true. Fingers crossed nothing's happened or changes at the moment, but you have to keep an eye out for it, don't you? So
exactly. Well, with all these things, there's bound to be some kind of consultation. There should be anyway, between various authorities. So we just need to be careful that what we're agreeing to. I mean, laws are pretty hard to object to, I suppose, anyway, on the grand scheme of things. But yeah, we need to be careful that we don't give away too much freedom, I suppose. As long as we can still get out and detect, then that's the main thing, isn't it? If they start putting that in, or reining it in, or trying to give these ridiculous licenses and stuff, then yeah. Need to be careful.
I think there'd be a bit of uproar, and I think there would be many who would ignore it, and it would all go totally pear-shaped, and that sadly would then even bring the hobby into potential issues and disrespect. And so we're just fingers crossed. With mudlarking, do you know how often are the laws looked at on that? And because obviously there must be more and more people doing it now, and the more and more popular things get, people start looking at it more in detail. Do you think that with mudlarking the laws may change in the future?
Possibly. They might put a limit on the amount of people that can have a permit. Active people, because if you think about it, the Thames is only a certain size, isn't it? So if everyone went down with a permit and started scraping away and doing it, then there's a danger that you could damage the environment too quickly. But on the other hand, what's to say that only once people buy a permit and give it a go, they had their fix and they don't want to do it anymore. So that seems to be, a lot of people come and go. They love the idea of doing it. They'll get stuck in for a couple of weeks, and then they'll think of something else to do, go and play golf or play darts, or do whatever they want to do. And it's the same with any hobby, even detecting. They'll go, "Oh, that's quite fantastic," and then 6 months later, "Oh, I can't be asked."
I've just shared an article, the one that Luke showed a moment ago, about the worrying. Excuse me while I pull it up again, because I put it off, by John Webb, that was put over to us a few years ago. Worrying aspects of the treasure, the changes in the treasure. There it is again. Worrying aspects of the new treasure proposal in the UK by John Webb. So you can read his thoughts for yourself on there.
That's the one.
Look at him there, isn't he? Like, how you don't get people dressed like that anymore. And I bet he went home clean as well. He knew how to detect.
Yeah, he's got his flares on there as well, if you scroll down.
Well, listen, I'm just going to throw on another brief video so we can all have a breather. This one's been sent over to us by That's Brad. So if you could play that, please, Luke.
going to show him how to use his detector today because he can't do it, can he?
No, I'm rubbish.
No,
So if I don't find silver or gold,
which you won't, because I'm having them all.
it's Dawn's fault.
So there you go. That's Brad's new channel. That's Brad's new channel, Treasure Quest Metal Detecting. So I told him I'd throw that one on tonight. And all those who have sent videos in, please keep them coming. We will use them as fillers in the future. We've got a few in there. We've not been able to get to some as yet, but we will, I'm sure. Just going on to metal detecting a little bit more, Si. I take it you have travelled to rallies and what have you throughout the UK.
Yeah.
And I take it that's an immense enjoyment to you also.
Yeah, I love rallies. It's a good chance to meet up with your mates as well, because not everyone is lucky enough to get permission. So we can all go on a neutral ground and fight it out and have a good time and get to go somewhere different that you may not have been before and get to see some nice countryside. I'm all for them really, as long as they're legit and the organisers are responsible and all that nonsense. Then long may they continue. They're good fun.
Fantastic. I've just had another question come in for you, by the way. It's from Peter Pesty. He asks, what do you use to record your finds? Do you use PAS or there's something different, a website to record mudlarking finds?
No, same old PAS as everyone else uses. You've got the Flow from London, Stuart Wyatt. So you either set up a meeting with him or ping him an email or do the usual. When we used to turn up for the Society of Mudlarks, he would be there as well. So it was handy because you go for the meeting with the Mudlarks and have a beer and go and record your finds with Stu and then give you back last month's stuff and you give him a new batch. So that's how I do it. But it's all the same process, the same thing. There are friends of mine that do self-recording. I don't know if any of you guys on the chat have ever done self-recording, but that's something which you can do, which I think everyone should be able to, everyone should be allowed to do, because the flows, a lot of them are quite, stacked out with work a lot of the time anyway. And most of us know what we're talking about to a reasonable degree. So why not allow us to self-record on the PAS website? It's all got to be verified by one of the flows or one of their, researchers anyway. So to make sure we're recording everything, why not let everyone, have their own account, upload stuff, and if they seem to be doing a good job, they can, get through a lot of the finds quicker and ease up the pressure on the flows a bit.
It's a really valid point, actually, Si, because I feel detecting's moved on so much and social media around it that the actual recording of finds is slow, and they are working as hard as they can where you've got a flow. In Essex, we currently don't have a flow at the moment. She left in February. Yeah, so we haven't got one. Sorry?
Due to stress, too much.
Well, I found a nice medieval ring and I put that in over 2.5 years ago now. And obviously she's not there, so I'm waiting to see who contacts me. But you'd have thought in this day and age there would be an app you could register with, either through the NCMD or someone like that with PAS, so they've got all your details and you're not just a troll. and you can take a photo of your find and record it, the location, all secure, send it to the Portland Antiquities scheme. They can come back and say, yeah, we'd like you to hand this in, or no thanks, that this is 1978 ring pull off a Tizer. Do you know what I mean? And I think if they had a database that was, I don't know, in the cloud, so you look at it through your browser, they could almost have a list of jobs in progress, processed. Just say, because at the moment it seems, you know, when you hand something in, it's all written on paper still. Well, it is in Essex. I don't know about London.
Yeah, London, you get a yellow receipt, and you get the other back when you sign it back. You know, they give it back to you. But,
I'm hoping in the background there's someone programming away an app. I mean, the program, the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine, we've got an app. All right, it might not record finds yet, but it's something which I think it'd be so nice if you're out in the field, for your own personal benefit. It's an easier way of logging it rather than doing it twice. So I think though, with the hobby getting as popular as it has done over the last year or so, they must be going stir crazy, because you've got new people in the hobby who probably find 1956 sixpence and try and get it recorded, you know, which is a nice find. And then you've got someone with a 2,500-year-old Celtic coin or something. It's swings and roundabouts, but it's something I think needs to be addressed sooner rather than later.
Totally. Well, there's one website which I quite like. Have you heard of UKDFD? Is that what it's called? UKDFD, UK Finds Database.
Yeah, Gary Bruns.
Gary Bruns one. Yeah. I think it's fantastic, and that's a great way. That's a good compromise of, you know, if you're struggling to record with your flow, at least put it on there for now, because it's a great resource. I've actually forked out the grand total of whatever it is to get the annual membership, because I find stuff and I want to have, you know, access to that website. So I think it's a great resource for research as well as recording. So if they had something like that for, you know, the pass system where you can log in. I mean, even if they was to meet the flow in person and go, hello, I'm a detectorist in this area. Right, there you go. There's your, there's your sort of login details. And if you come to me if you've got any real problems, but we'll let you record. I'll check your work over. I don't know what they're doing. So they must want to hold on to that, possess that, power almost. Because like people I know that have self-recorded, they still haven't had their finds sort of verified, even though these people that are self-recording are extremely knowledgeable, and the reports they've done, the write-ups they've done are absolutely fantastic, to a T, perfect. But they're still waiting to get them signed off, which, I don't know, it must be down to staffing problems. That's all I can put it down to, because they're obviously keen to get it recorded. It's just lack of personnel or time.
Well, listen, you need to go and grab yourself a drink. So while you're doing that, I've pulled up another video. So you crack on for a few minutes, go and sort yourself out, and we'll just watch this other video, which Scotty B doesn't know I'm playing. No, Scotty, it's not that one.
We are ready to sail for the Horn. Way, roll and go. Our boots and our clothes, boys, are all in the Horn. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh. Heave up, oh, heave away. Way, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh.
Scotty, you need to work on your music in the background. It disappeared there. I love Scotty. Scotty's even gone, oh, I think he was expecting another video which isn't very useful for people of a certain age at this time of the day. But we'll talk about that. In fact, we'll put that in on the main screen at Detectable or Detecticon or something, can't we? You don't know about that video, Adrian, do you?
No. Well, I might have heard about it. Better not talk about it.
We won't speak about it.
No.
I think Scotty's still very raw, to say the least. That's going on a
yeah.
big screen. That's going on a very, very, very big screen.
Detectable and Detecticon, isn't it? Lovely. Think this year been able to get out everyone drinking, detecting.
And for those of you who
burgers.
don't know, Detectable, the Spring Detectable's been brought back to replace the Summer Detectable, which has been postponed for this year, and will take place on June the 12th and 13th in Oxfordshire. And the main Detectable will take place September the 12th and 13th in Wiltshire. So keep your eyes on their website for details. Luke, can you briefly go to Dave Cam 1, please? There it is, Dave Cam 1. I contacted Arco Press last week. We do a lot of book reviews for them, and this fantastic little tome came from them, and what a book it is. It's quite expensive, but it was sent for us to review. And I also got a second book sent to Tony Kaywood for reviewing as well. So Tony's going to review that book, which is all about some Roman activity in Yorkshire. So a lot of these, I think more or less all of these images are actually taken from the Portable Antiquities Scheme website, and there are some stunning images. Absolutely. Where's he going now? Absolutely stunning images in it. So it's Cloth Seals, an illustrated reference guide to the identification of lead seals attached to cloth by Stuart F. Elton. So that for me, it's got to be a great help of identification as well after I've reviewed it. So thank you to that. And obviously for the one that Tony Kaywood has taken receipt of as well. Where are we? Well, 1 minute 47. The Si's back. Si, right, what happens next? We have our weekly Diggers Dips free prize draw. So this week we have 3 prizes, being the first prize is a Tribes and Coins of Celtic Britain book, followed by, thanks to the composite cleaning pencil, Graham Dempsey, a cleaning pencil set. And the final prize is an entry into any of the Diggers Dips current draws. So they're the prizes tonight. In fact, I'll share the screen now, if I may, Mr. Higgins in the ether. No, that's not it. That's it. There we go. There we go. So as you can see, we've got a minute left. So we like to play a game, and it all becomes quite. I think we all become a bit on edge, don't we? Really, Adrian?
Oh, don't sleep, Dave, because of this.
It's terrible, isn't it? Everybody participates, so we always guess the numbers, and the winner comes up on the thing. It's a great little addition to the show. So thank you as always to Diggers Dips and to Graham Dempsey from the Composite Cleaning Pencil Company. See what I've done then? I've actually got a sticker in front of me now so I can read it. Save me forgetting. So and after this, we'll come back obviously straight to yourself, Si. And Adrian sent me some images, so you can briefly run through that. And if there's any questions that anybody has as well, we'll obviously go through them before we end the show. So we've got 10 seconds to go before this week's draw. So I'm going to ask you first, Si, as you are the guest, a number between 1 and 32.
26.
26. Adrian.
3.
And I'll go for 19. So you got, honestly, it'll get you now. It's like being in the national lottery and your numbers coming in. Even you'll be on edge waiting for 26.
It will be 26. I know it is.
You're not Barry. It won't be 26. You have to know to that. You have to know that one. Oh.
Oh! I called it.
And the winner is Jamie Williams. Congratulations, Jamie. But the big winner is obviously Si. Si, second number between 1 and 32.
I can't do it twice in a row. I'm going to go with 15.
Adrian?
33.
And I'll go for 15. Oh. not on edge now because none of us got it. But this week's second prize is number 5, which is Norman 182. So congratulations, you win the cleaning pencil set. Jamie Williams is on a bit of a roll when it comes to winning at the moment. He sent me a nice message the other day to say he'd taken receipt of his some of the things that we'd sent him. So thanks for the response, Jamie. Sorry, last number.
11.
Adrian?
11.
I'll go for 14. None of us are right. Should have waited. And it's number 4, which is Deborah 27B. So the main winner tonight is Jamie Williams, who's won the tribal coins and books, Norman 182, the cleaning pencil set, and Deborah 27B, who's won entry into any draw. So congratulations to all of you for tonight's winning participants. And thank you, as ever, to, as I said before, Diggers Dips and the composite cleaning pencil. Not
you tried one of those? Oh, sorry.
No, I use a fiberglass pen. That's my little cleaning degree.
It's like a fiberglass pen, but you don't get itchy fingers, and it's got special composite material. The guy who designed it his skill is
He's a composite engineer.
Yeah. So honestly, it's amazing. We just had I've forgotten her name, Detecting Emily. Have you heard of her?
Yes.
Si? Yeah, she got one. She did a good video on it last week. But
cool.
he also does wax and powders, and it's really good for Romans.
You might be able to see it. You won't be able to see the colour because it's green. The Gladius product, which is a fluid. It's got several coins, some Romans and some other bits and bobs in there at the moment, which you basically leave in there for a while, and it helps to take away a lot of the stuff on there. But there's the pens, there's attachments, brass inserts, there's absolutely all sorts in the range, and I swear by them, and I'm not finding anything of consequence. But even trialing them on your normal Georgian copper and such like, absolutely fantastic.
So does it take off the? Sometimes the patina isn't really necessary, is it? If you've got a Georgian coin, you just want to see, to get a better definition. Does it just take all that off, or does it just improve what's already there?
There's 2 types of tip. There's a rough one for like crusty Romans, and there's like I think it's white. I'm going to get told off now, which is really fine, but it's so intricate. And I've kept the patina on mine. And like Dave said, the Gladius solution, which he does, is it's not like bleach or anything that stinks. It's environmentally friendly, and you can use it again and again. But you put a crusty Roman in there, and it goes green, doesn't it, Dave? The water. With the liquid, you clean it out. But there's the pencil, and it comes with spare nibs and stuff. But
and then you've also got the wax as well, which preserve it wax, which is obviously the what you clean it up with, and obviously it preserves as well. But he's also got an additional additive, which is like a fine powder to add to it, which again works on the heavy dirt and such like.
Nice.
Yeah, I've used that as well. Yeah.
Anyway,
and also,
sorry.
Move on, Dave, because we're waffling on. Sorry.
Luke, can you share the screen again? And we're just going to go through some images. And this first one, I didn't know Si actually did until yourself told me about it, Adrian. If they're coming up on screen. Oh, they're not, because I haven't shared it yet, probably. Yeah, that's my fault. I've got it up on my screen, but no one else's. I just did the Dave. There we go. Si on a hovercraft. Tell us about that, Si.
Yeah, that's my mate Steve, and we co-own that hovercraft, and we go out with it's a sort of subsection to my channel. We are the Hovercraft History Hunters, and we go out on the Lower Thames and the Medway with a group of us, up to like 3 or 4 craft, and we can get out to the places where no one else can't, because once the tide goes out, you're either stranded in the middle of the estuary or creek or whatever, but all the good stuff is stuck in the mud. So there's very few ways of getting there, But with hovercraft, they're amphibious, so that looks like we're going across the water in that one, and then you fly up the muddy bank and get out and see if you can save some of the history, which is being eroded out. And there's no digging involved or anything. We're literally walking around, picking stuff up, taking it back, cleaning it, and preserving it. So it's a fantastic way of getting out there. I say fantastic. They do it. They are temperamental as well. We have had our moments where they've broken down and had a crash or two, but it just adds the drama. That's the drama.
Ever since the days like late 70s and early 80s when you saw the hovercraft on like the P&O liners, but they were the hovercrafts going across the channel. I've always wanted to go on a hovercraft.
Yeah, they're fantastic, and those ones are like little 2-seater ones. So obviously the larger ones are designed for like going across channels of the Isle of Wight and stuff. But yeah, they're recreational ones, and we work with the British Hovercraft Company, which it's nice to know that all this stuff is British made as well. So it's all homegrown engineering. It's a British invention as well, the hovercraft. So
that's right. Yeah,
actually lay claim to a bit of good old British inventions there as well.
And
so,
I remember the Scrap Heap Challenge doing hovercrafts once. That was funny.
Actually, Si, you know where I live? 5 minutes up the road, the guy who invented it lived.
Yeah, his name's Cocker something, wasn't it? Cockerell?
Yeah.
Spaniel.
Christopher
Cockerell.
Not Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah, so it's British invention hovercraft. Wish they were more of them about. I'd go to work on it, right? You know, it'd be quite good.
Yeah, they're a bit noisy, but they're fantastic.
Yeah,
so,
I've got a lovely collection of clay pipes that you've found, and obviously you've put into this display.
Yeah, that was just one outing actually.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. That was after a particularly harsh storm. I forgot the name of it. They give these storms funny names, but one storm, and we knew where to search because we thought there might be a few being kicked up by the harsh weather. And in fact, we were still out there during the end of the storm, so it was a pretty horrific film to do with wind noise. People do love to advise me that I need to get a mic for my camera, which I do, but sometimes the wind is so strong because we're out there in the the midst of it, you can't help but get a bit of wind noise. But yeah, that was quite a fun day. They're just everywhere. I had a fines pouch. They were just literally all over, stuck out like a bunch of flowers.
Next up, I take it this is some of the things that you're doing with the bottles when you mentioned the cutting them off and such like.
Yeah, they're good for them ones. Yeah, they're like I say, the tops have been smashed off. The cod bottles, as you probably know, they have little marbles in, little stoppers in. And back in the Victorian times, the kids liked to play with marbles, so they smashed the top of the bottle, and the rest of it got lobbed, and then ended up in a dump or in the Thames or wherever. So they're beautifully designed and embossed bottles with this lovely aqua colour and the crude glass and the bubbles in them and stuff. So it seems such a shame just to waste them because they're not complete. So I can cut them down and then I'll clean them thoroughly, and then if they're a bit sick or whatever, put some lacquer on them as well to give them a lovely transparent feel. And that's the result.
Lovely, like that. Ooh.
Lovely find.
That's a muff pistol, no sniggering.
Where's your cat?
Adrian, me and you didn't do the rude words this week. He's done them.
No, we didn't.
But yeah, that gun was made in around, I think it was just 1900 or thereabouts, maybe slightly earlier. That model of gun, about 1895 to 1900. It's actually an American gun, but yeah, I found it in the Thames near a drain deposit. So maybe it was in the street at some point and fell down the drain. That's what I think happened anyway. But yeah, that's a little muff pistol. So ladies would have carried that. It's very small, probably only about 4 inches long, something like that. And it would have been held inside their muff guard. So if they ever come across the Jack the Ripper type, they could pull it out and try and defend themselves.
Wow.
It was Webby that cleaned it out for me, actually. I found it was rusty, and yeah, Webby used his wonderful preservation techniques, which involved lots of different types of techniques. I said, how'd you do it? And he goes, oh, there's too many types to go through. Because one of his little tricks was with iron, right? You've got to try and get the salt out, otherwise it will crack and fall apart. So the first thing you've got to do is get the salt out. So what he did is he put it in the toilet cistern, right? So every time you flush your water, fresh water were piling on the object and go through the toilet, right? So it meant that fresh water was constantly going through it, and it will work wonders. But you have to leave it in the toilet system with permission of the missus for a couple of months for it to wash out all those impurities, and then other various techniques of drying it in ovens and boiling it in, oil and stuff like that. So
what a fantastic tip, though, that is. That's something I've never heard of, and I'm sure other people watching tonight will consider the outside toilet the best.
Yeah, well, the thing, if they're found in salty conditions, so a beach find, or definitely a Thames find, or any salt river, stick it in the Kazi for a few months and let the salt water be dispersed.
Next up, an absolutely beautiful ring, and I'm standing up because I've got cramp, and that's not happened for a while. Tell us about the ring, Si.
Yeah, that ring is a silver ring with possibly what's the type of amber, maybe, stone. But it's most probably an offering, Indian offering, because there's quite a large cultural, Indian people down the river, and the river is sacred to them, so they often make offerings. So we find statues of like Shiva and all the other various gods, and very often they throw in those like gaudy, quite chunky looking rings. But yeah, it's a good find. I think I found about half a dozen of those types of rings in the past as well.
Being the religious artifacts you've just mentioned, would a mudlarker, out of respect, leave them?
No, because I think it's a beautiful object in itself, and we've actually had contacts with Hindus and various other religious sectors, and we did ask them their feelings on, once they're in the river, how do you feel about them being removed? And they say, I haven't got a problem with them being removed whatsoever, because the process of their belief is the actual act of praying whilst they're throwing them in, having their ceremony, and whatever else. If they could retrieve them, they probably could, but because they're thrown into a river and they leave, they've got no problem with us taking it, as long as what we do with them is respectful, and what I do with them is respectful. I often leave them behind because I don't know what to do with them anyway, but I've got a couple in my garden that I've cleaned all the mud off, and they sit there looking very proud, and I do respect everyone's religion. So and that ring is in one of my find boxes. So I think it depends how you act to it. On the other hand, some people can see it as some of the objects are made of plastic, so the act of throwing a piece of plastic in the river, it doesn't matter what religion you are, is not always, it's not seen as a very good thing to the environment. So if you say, well, I'm taking out this enormous plastic, which essentially is a plastic piece of detritus, then it's doing the environment a favour. But I think their culture is slightly coming around to the environmental damage that they're doing, and they are producing more ones that break down, like made from certain clays and things like that are environmentally friendly, or paper maches and things like that. So that's a great step forward.
Now this image, am I right in saying that's an elephant on one side?
Yeah, that's another batch of Indian offerings, and they were all, I can't remember what the specific religion is for that, because there's obviously a few different types, but they would have all been the same. The trouble is with them, they're lead, you see, so they're not great to be in the river. Doesn't matter if they're fishing weights or Indian offerings, but again, I've respected them. I've looked after them since I've taken them out, and they're still in my collection. So a nice I think it's better to be in someone's possession, I think, than stuck in mud forever.
Bottle tops.
Yes, they're vulcanite.
You've had hundreds.
I do, yeah. I've got quite a few of them. I've even made display cabinets where I've drilled out. That's it. I found them. How do you display them? Because they don't sit the right way up, because they're the wrong way out. So they're quite good for doing crafty things with, because they're rubber and they're sort of they've got that impression on, haven't they? They're all different designs. I've actually managed to print with them as well, so to create like a printing effect, and also set them in a nice frame, and the frame that I've made from driftwood as well. So that worked out pretty well. But yeah, they're fascinating. They're like they're beautiful pieces of social history because they tell you a bit about the brewer and where they're from, and sometimes the street address and stuff. So they're pretty cool things.
Now this is absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 18th century Dutch tobacco tin made of brass, and yeah, that was found in the Thames. And I saw the edge of it just poking out, and this was quite a while ago. So I was reasonably new, probably been doing it about 2 or 3 years at that point. And I thought at first it was it looked like a World War One tank. You know, those shapes of those old World War One like that. And I thought it might have been one of those, like a tin toy. So I pulled it out, and there was some beautiful engraving on it. And I thought, oh, do you know what? It's another one. It's another one of those offerings. It looks like it's a Japanese offering. It's got these little hand engraved people in. So I just put it in my friend's bucket at the time and said, look after that, because I want to keep it, but I don't know what it is. And then at the end of the session, we happened to meet upon an ex-auctioneer who told us what it was. He goes, what you got there is a 18th century Dutch tobacco tin. So immediately came out of the bucket and was, treasured a lot more and cleaned it up. And that actually is quite unique because it has been recorded with the PAS, despite it not being older than 300 years old. So there are items that they do find of interest that don't have to be that old. So if anyone does have anything that isn't that old but still quite unique, always put it under the flow's nose, because you never know, it could actually be of interest to them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And we've got some, are these metal detecting or mudlarking finds, the buttons, the buckles and such like?
That's all mudlarking, yeah. That's all mudlarking.
Wow.
Yeah, that snake thing is that's another Indian offering. I think that's a lead seal. That's a little pineapple on a lead seal. So that might be in Stu's book. I can't think what the other things are. They're buttons, I think, and yeah, buttons and buckles by the looks of things. Yeah, it's pretty good. All on a Tudor brick. Yeah, that was detecting a field. That was on a rally, I think. That was a good day. Me, Mike, and Tony went out and did some detecting on a rally, and I think that was like an afternoon find. It's funny, isn't it? Because I don't know if you guys had the same experience. Everyone's ego at 9 o'clock or whenever it starts, and everyone goes off on a mad rush. And then if it reaches lunchtime and they haven't found very much, a lot of people go home.
Yeah.
And then the place is, you got twice as much space. So it was one of those occasions where no one was finding very much, but we found a sort of a quarter of the field where, I don't know, we probably had about 3 or 4 Romans each off of it. So it's always worth sticking around, I think, on rallies, because you never know what people have missed, and you may be able to get there and set yourself up. Why not just stay the day?
Now, the next image, this interests me. The one on the bottom right, it actually looks like some of the cloth seals in this book I spoke about previously. Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can identify that one. It looks like it might be from Wiltshire. It probably is it's a cloth seal.
You see, if it wasn't for that book, I would never have been able to say that, because I wouldn't have known.
It's a good little book, that is. Yeah, Stuart's fascinated with cloth seals, and again, they're awesome. They do give a great snapshot of social history and all the different countries that have traded with us over the years. So it's really fantastic. One of my tokens is in there as well. One of my seals is in that book as well. So that's quite cool.
Grim.
Nice skull.
Do you come across?
Sorry, Adrian.
Do you come across many finds like that, Si? Bit like shocking.
Only really when we're out on the hovercraft, because there's certain areas where you may or may not find them, but you do find lots of bones out there. Not very often you find the human skulls, but that was probably from Dead Man's Island when we went there. But it's
do you have to report something like this to the police?
Well, yeah, there is the maritime police, and we got their mobile numbers, so I'll let them know what I found. And if it's in certain situations, then they thank us, but they won't be following it up, because a lot of the time they know that by the condition, we'll send them some photos as well, but by the condition of the bones, they've seen it so many times, they know what they're looking at. They can tell by the colour, the discoloration, the context of where they're in, where they are, that they're going to be old bones, and there's no reason for them to start up any open a case for it, so to speak, because they know, it's one of those historic bones, because the midways, and the lower Thames has got lots of things eroding out. So they often say, thanks for letting us know, but we're not going to follow it up, and that they've never done it. So, but yeah, we do report them.
What was the case with that skull? How old did they think it was?
It's probably one of the prisoners, because in Victorian times and earlier, when there was a crime committed and they wanted to either get you ready to be transported, they would put you on the prison hulks, and they were all over the place, down in Chatham and Gravesend and other various places. And these old ships of the line, they were used once they were no longer shipworthy. They would be used as prisons. So they had to get rid of the bodies somehow. So they would often bury them at sea or bury them on the islands, and also prisoners of war, and also any kind of low-ranking naval people as well that did have homes, because a lot of people were press ganged back in the day. When in the 1800s, we think of it as we kind of put it on that pedestal of being in the Navy was quite a refined job, but there were so many wars happening, they run out of people to recruit. So they would go to the local bars, get the dropouts and the people that were low on their luck, and press gang them into joining the Navy. They had no family, they were just single men, young single men, probably maybe drunks or criminals or whatever, going on adventure. Often they would be press ganged whilst they were drunk as well. So they didn't have much. There was no real. They didn't have families and stuff to go back to like we would do today. So if they were to die overseas, often their bodies would have been buried on places like Dead Man's Island, because there's lots of reasons and rumours for it. A lot of the reason, or one of the rumours as well, is if there was a prison hulk and one of the prisoners died, if they reported it and said, prisoner number 124 has died, then they wouldn't get their money for their upkeep, so they would lose out. So they would hide the fact that they died. So there's lots of suspicious burials out there, but there's no real hard facts. It's just speculation. But there's, it's fascinating history out there. It really is.
That's something I'm definitely going to have to look a bit more. I've heard it's spoken about, but I've not looked into Dead Man's Island. Something I'm definitely. Well, I'll have to watch a video for a start.
Exactly. Yeah. People have. There's various other YouTubers that try to go there, but we've made special care that we haven't, because the actual island itself is, it's like a 6 foot high jump to get on top of the island, which you're not allowed to go to. So we've kind of pushed our luck a bit and gone to the muddy bit. But we've actually documented what's happening there, and I feel we did it in a respectful way to show the things that are actually happening. And it is what it is, isn't it? I haven't taken anything away, or I'll put everything back to where it was, and we went on our way. So it's, you could do the same with a drone, couldn't you, if you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, true.
Well, listen, we're past our normal finishing time, and we could go on all night, to be fair, but we have to let everybody go to bed. So where can everybody find your YouTube videos, Si?
Yeah, if you search Sci-Finds Thames Mudlark, or just put in Sci-Finds, that usually works. And I upload a video every Sunday, including this Sunday as well. And that's the recent London Canal clean-up, which is quite funny. We had quite a good laugh and found some interesting stuff. But I won't spoil it. You have to watch out for it on Sunday at 3 PM. I upload when the videos go live. So
I'll certainly watch that one, because I've got a massive affinity with canals, being from Ellesmere Port, where the National Boat Museum is. Absolutely love me canals. I'm just the gruesome finds at Dead Man Island, Hovercraft History Hunters, 675,000 views. Good Lord.
That's a few.
I think my most ones had about 100.
100,000? That's really good, man.
No, just 100.
No, that's brilliant. It's a great channel you got, Si, and I love watching it. I really do, mate. So thanks. It's I think stuff like your channel takes over TV now easily. You just sit there and watch it. So I recommend everyone to subscribe. It's a great watch. And the John Webb story, that, you know, like I said, you sit and watch that, and you put it together so well. It's like it was on television. Do you know what I mean? The way you've edited it, and you've got John's voice over it, really good. But there's some lovely stories in there as well, which are quite heartwarming to listen to.
Yeah,
so,
it's not just about the finds, is it? It's about the stories that
No.
go with it as well. And
Yeah.
he was telling me that those photos that he had was probably about 10% of what he's actually found.
Cat's bum again. Hey.
He's looking at a cat's bum. 10%. 10%.
That was just, he said, he goes, this isn't the tip of the iceberg, mate. He's found, like I said in the video, I said to him, John, if they should make a film about your life.
Yeah.
It'd be absolutely fantastic. And he said, yeah, I know he would, but no one will believe it.
No, I think that's true, because some of the bits you bring up in the video are, I'm like, wow. And I'm thinking he could talk about even more of that. But the way he says it, it's like, yeah, and I found that. And you're like, really? And he's like, yeah, I found loads of them. You know, it's just, but you're right. If any film producers are watching, that would be such an interesting film. Really would.
Do you know that we had an article published yesterday on ArcMD Mag from a guy called Barry Lawton, and he's done a series of articles, 3 of them, called Memoirs of a Treasure Hunter. And again, reading them, you're like, nah, that's not true. That's just a story. But with yourself knowing John and understanding John and understanding what he's about and what he's found, you'd know that these stories replicate John's life, and how true they are. Some of them are like, no, really? And then, you know it's true.
Yeah, well, I used to go around his house and sit there with have a cup of tea with him and his wife and his son, and his wife would back up the stories right in front of him, because he almost, sad to say, he almost fell out with his missus, because he was bottle digging so profusely, finding so much stuff. He was so on top of his game back then. And plus there's lots of, nowadays it's so easy to go on Google Maps and find it. He done it all by going to the library, looking up Latin scripts and getting it converted, trying to get a hint of where these sites were. But he would come home with sacks of bottles, with the intention to sell them, to make, pay his way in that. But he had bottles lined up all down the side of his house, all down the side of his hallway, up the stairs. And his wife cracked one day and said, look, it's either the bottles or me, because I can't stand it anymore. And he got rid of the lot. He just done a massive flash sale, and I would have loved to have seen what he would have got, what he would have sold, and what he probably gave away just to, pacify his wife. So he's got some great stories, and I remember him now from time to time thinking, bloody hell, yeah, you're right. And he's an inspiration. You think to yourself, oh, I can't bother to go to Detecting today. I'm not going to find anything. It's crap weather. I'll just sit indoors and watch football. And you think, well, no, that's not what John would have done. He'd have been out before it started raining. He'd have been out there by now and stuff. So you can think to yourself, when you're a bit down in the dumps, you haven't found much, and say, well, you've got to be tenacious like some people to get the good stuff. And John was increasingly tenacious, and he did his research in equal amounts as his hunting, which kind of a lot of us don't really tend to do. We just, it's hard for us to get permission these days, because everyone else is, all the easy farms have been, asked, and a lot of the other farmers probably are sick of Detectorists or whatever. So it is a lot more tricky than it used to be. But yeah, it can be done. And yeah, he's an inspiration, I think.
Well, anyway, Si, it's been fantastic having you on tonight. Not just talking about John, but learning all about the mudlarking from your perspective and the metal detecting. It's been really interesting. I've actually made notes in my notebook that I'm going to go away, not tonight, tomorrow, and look into things myself, like Dead Man's Island. Some things like that intrigue me greatly. So, as I said earlier on with that small video, people are thanking you for assisting with the mental health by talking about the bird box and showing the bird box. And I'm finding out things, and I'm thinking, I don't know about that. I'm going to go find out. So, you're still doing it tonight yourself, and many other YouTubers who there's a lot of people who are much maligned on YouTube, some rightfully so, but then the benefit that others offer is a great plus. So not just to you, but to all of them, thank you very much. So as I say, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight, Si. Adrian, I'll no doubt speak to you tomorrow. Now, next week's guest, I've not actually spoken to her yet, but I might have to postpone her. Postpone her. And the reason being is that we've been asked to do something which we haven't had the opportunity or chance to do before. And it would be quite a coup for us. But we're just waiting for that to be confirmed to see if they would like to go ahead with next week's show. If not, and we will. I don't like doing this. Don't like postponing guests, but the opportunity, as I say, is very rare. And Annie will be with us in the near future. But next week's guest currently is Annie Biard, who's the archaeologist who works closely with Mark and Karen from Metal Detectives and the Detectable Organisers, and she's currently appearing on the Great British Dig as well. Another much maligned TV program. So anyway, thank you again, Si. Thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you to everybody who have sent their finds in. So good night from me.
Good night from him. And thanks, Si, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And hello to everyone in the chat. Sorry.
And thanks again to Luke. Thanks as ever to Luke. Run VT.
Yes.
Down at the shore, there's a place where there's no one vacationing. There's just the sound of the call of the wild, overcoming the fear of the unknown. And I've got something to help you understand, something waiting there beneath the sand. My metal detector is with me all of the time. Ignore the mountain of discarded folder. with me all of the time. I'm the inspector over mine. Metal detector, watch it shine. Don't need no volleyball, don't need no squatting up. Metal detector, I'm detected.